We're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. This is our World War II.
This intellectual powerhouse barreled her way into the Munich Security Conference to provide such deep thoughts as this.
We have to make sure that we are having, I think, a reflection and a reflective conversation about how are we positioning ourselves to continue to offer the world the best of what America has to offer.
It would appear that AOC is a graduate of the word salad school of Kamala Harris, which will be helpful when she runs for president, which is surely what this is all about. She was also widely mocked for this one.
What happened in Venezuela, for example, he was an anti-democratic leader. That doesn't mean that we can kidnap a head of state and engage in acts of war just because the nation is below the equator.
The nation is, of course, above the equator. But it was this moment that really got my attention.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States.
Oof, that was brutal. I think it's okay to sometimes say, I'm not entirely sure about that one. Would you really hold it against someone for that? Or, if you need time to formulate an answer, do what Elon does and think about it.
I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of...
That can't possibly be interpreted worse than this. But the reactions on AOC came flying in.
You showed me the most uncomfortable 20 seconds of television I've ever seen. My takeaway from that...
What happened there? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a person who doesn't know what she actually thinks. And I've seen this way too much in Washington with politicians where they are given lines, and when you ask them to go outside the lines they were given, they completely fall apart because, look, does anybody really believe that AOC has very thoughtful ideas about the global world order or about what the United States should do with our policy in Asia or our policy in Europe? No, this is a person who is mouthing the slogans that somebody else gave her.
That's not an easy question to answer. And I actually think, yeah, she stammered in the beginning, and God knows that we've all stammered in the beginning of difficult questions.
We need to have higher standards for Democrats. That's a false option. We have to stop providing cover for their mediocrity. That answer was terrible, and you know it. So don't provide cover for it. She didn't know what she was talking about. She was blindsided by the question, and it doesn't look good. Let's just be honest about it rather than providing cover for it.
Ocasio-Cortez crapped the bed, okay? She wants to be president. She wants to run, and she's one of the most popular Democrats and gave one of the most embarrassing performances you could possibly do.
We have to be aware that her message of stupidity is one that has appealed to far too many people to this point. The right should not underestimate that, as embarrassing as she is on the international stage. Just fact-checking her and on something as simple as the fact that the Spaniards brought horses to America is not going to be something that deters any of the people who are going to come out and give her tons of money and support if she runs for president in 2028.